Hello, and welcome to the Innovative Mindset Podcast. I'm your host, Isolde Trachtenberg, and I'm super, super happy that you are here. Thank you so much for taking time out of your day to spend a little bit of it with me. Today, I want to talk about one of the components of innovation that I feel very strongly about, and that is compassion. As you might know, on Mondays, I usually have an interview with someone who is a peak performer who's innovating and changing the world. I'm going through and I'm looking at the elements of innovation, and they are creativity, compassion, collaboration, curiosity, and mindfulness. And today I want to talk about compassion and leaders. Imagine you're a business leader, even a CEO of a company or some other leader of a team or something like that. So I want you to imagine if you ran a business encouraging the employees to lead with compassion. Compassion for themselves, compassion for each other, compassion for your customers and clients, and compassion for the earth. What would it look like? What would it look like? It's compassion that everyone was really thinking about. How would it affect everything? How would it affect their relationships? How would it affect the customer service that they were able to provide? And how would that compassionate awareness of the greater ecosystem and environment around them make them behave differently towards the earth, towards the environment, towards everything, from how much gas you spend to whether or not the company has a recycling program? Personally, I think it would be amazing. But let's take a look a little bit further. Let's go a little bit further down that rabbit hole, if you will. So, yeah, we can talk about people themselves and their staff. And if they do, they know their needs. They know when they can do something, and more importantly, when they can't do something. I'm going to give you an example. I have to travel, and in order to get to where I was going to go for this job, for this meeting that I was going to need to go to, I was going to need to wake up at like 4:30 in the morning. And that, honestly, knowing me, I should know by now that I cannot do it. I get too stressed out about whether or not I'm going to get up in time, and then I don't. Or rather, I don't fall asleep. Isn't that fun? And this time when I had to do this travel, I didn't fall asleep. I had to get up at like 4 a.m. or something like that. And instead of getting to sleep when I put my head down, I could not do it. All I was doing was looking at all of the different things that I had to do and made sure that I had taken care of, and my brain just would not stop. So I stood up, I moved around, I did all the things that you're supposed to do to try and sleep, but I could not. So because of that, I, as I said, ended up staying up all night. But if I'd had compassion for myself, I never would have agreed to do it. I never would have said, oh yeah, absolutely, I can make that 11:30 in the morning meeting down in DC, which means that I have to leave my house at like 4. So driving 5 hours or whatever to get to my meeting, I wouldn't have said that I could do it if I'd had compassion for myself, right? But I didn't have compassion for myself, thought I could do it, thought I could grind through, and ended up having to cancel the entire meeting. I mean, I was able to make the job that I had that evening, but I could not make the meeting. And if I'd had thought about it and taken care of myself, I would have gotten sleep. I would have made sure that I wasn't going nuts trying to get this all done. Instead, I ended up trying to pull an all-nighter, and quite frankly, in college I could pull all-nighters, but not anymore. I can't do it, so there I am. But if I had had compassion for myself, I would have done things differently. I would have known that I had to take care of myself, and I would have said, okay, that's it. I cannot make this meeting. They're going to have to either do it some other way or do it virtually or something like that, right? So the same kind of thing can happen with employees, right? If employees have compassion for each other, if one of the people they see is struggling somehow, if you give them the power to lead with the heart and show compassion, why, then they get to offer their strength to the person who's struggling. Because a lot of us spend a lot of our time being nose to the grindstone. That seems to be the pervasive company culture or organizational culture in so many places. And that's that's going to get in the way of showing compassion, right? So one of the things that starts happening if they do show compassion for themselves and each other, they're going to start collaborating because they are, as I said, if you have a solution for something someone needs a solution for, if you're the one who has that solution and you feel empowered to offer that solution, even if it's not strictly speaking your job, well, that forms incredible collaborations. And isn't that going to be something that's amazing, right? That's the thing. You're going to have people lending each other their strengths, and they're going to have them working in ways that they might not otherwise ever do. So what if you have that? Well, the culture then, the people that work for you, they really get to extend themselves, extend that compassionate part of themselves. And I think they're going to shock and amaze you because they're going to see that the struggle is real, and they're going to be able to help. And even then, if a person is struggling, well, I've been talking about this a lot. If people feel empowered to do the right thing, they're going to do the right thing. That's a lot of what this is, right? A lot of what we're talking about. When you talk about innovation, it's about solving problems that other people have that you can think creatively to solve the problem that you see is happening. Well, this is that, right? It's not just solving problems for your clients and customers. It's also innovating and solving problems in the company. And I think, as I said, even more importantly than clients or customers, it's solving problems for the people you work with, the people on the team. If you're the person with the answer and you know somebody else is struggling with the question, why wouldn't you give them the answer? Well, if you have compassion for them, you will come up with the answer, or you can at least offer your help. And together, you're going to be able to collaborate and figure something out. That's one of the things that we as business leaders, as business owners, as business people, and as individuals and companies and organizations can do for each other. And then that sort of leads out and increases in size until you start thinking about the environment, right? If you have compassion for yourself, if you're self-aware, then you know what you can and can't do. And you don't beat yourself up, right? What's the point of beating yourself up? That does absolutely no good to you or anybody else if you beat yourself up. So it certainly does you no good to beat someone else up either, right? So that's where compassion comes in. Because it doesn't help to denigrate someone else's try, if you will. Whatever they're trying to do, it doesn't, right? If you're not the person whose job it is to do that, then beating them up, I mean verbally, I don't mean like physically, of course, but if it's not your job to give that kind of feedback, then that's the best time to show compassion, right? Because they're trying. And that's something that's really important, right? Because a part of this is there are people who have to give feedback. And if you can do it from that compassionate place, then it's going to be taken in a much more positive light. Because quite frankly, if feedback or critique comes from a place that isn't compassionate, it's almost never going to be taken in a positive light. It just isn't. The person's defenses are going to go up, and then nothing will be addressed or in a positive way. So even if you're the person who's responsible for giving the feedback, bear in mind the more compassionate you can be in giving that feedback, the more you're going to be able to meet the person you're trying to reach with that feedback. And then you can move it out into the local environment and get involved and perhaps volunteer, right? You can do volunteer programs or party cleanups, things like that. If your company and organization starts taking an active part in the community, showing compassion for whatever's going on in the community, those people in that community are going to start thinking of the company and the organization as a team member, right? That's the whole point. The compassion sort of moves over in and increases and brings people together. And I don't even know if I said that correctly, but let me see if I can explain it a little bit better. If the people in the community feel like and see that you and your company or your organization are there for them, they're going to treat you like one of theirs. And that means they're going to be more likely to want to do business with you because then they know what your company stands for. They know it stands for something, and they'll know that your company or organization is part of their community. That's a huge part of it. And there's nothing wrong with, cleanup days. I think that's great. Volunteering like that is a beautiful thing. And if you extend that compassion out to the greater earth, and then things like recycling programs or even compost piles become something else that your company can extend itself to do, right? Things like that can be an extension of you showing your compassion. That's something we don't think about or talk about very much, but it's really true. If you start with compassion for yourself, you embrace compassion for others, and then you embrace compassion for the greater community, and then you'll embrace compassion for your local ecosystem and environment. And then I really do believe that once you have that compassion flowing, it's going to flow to the earth itself. It's going to be a true global village. And there's something really powerful in that, because that's on a business level, that's when your reach increases and grows exponentially, because people talk. If they know you as a company or organization that has compassion, they're going to recommend you. That's the beauty of it. And it's not, I'm not telling you to use this as a tactic. It's not a gimmick, right? It's finding compassion for yourself and for the people on your team and the company and the local environment, as far as your community, and then the greater environment, sort of the macrocosm, if you will, of the entire planet. We're all, I think, realizing that we have a role to play in helping, whether you're helping someone cross the street or lift a heavy package or save the oceans. We all have a role to play. And so I wanted to give these thoughts to you today to just sort of put that out there. You know, you've heard me talk about this if you listen to the show, that I've actually been really struggling recently with whether or not being vegan by its nature makes you an environmentalist. I'm wondering if you can be vegan without being an environmentalist. And the reason I'm talking about this is because it's, again, that compassion portion of it. There's something really powerful about that notion of being compassionate when you show compassion for yourself and your health. And for me, I'm not a vegan because of my health. I'm vegan for the animals, as you know. But I always want to leave things better than I found them. And that sort of all gets encapsulated in being vegan. And therefore, I'm an environmentalist. So I also try to be cruelty-free and compassionate to all beings. And then it makes it kind of easy in my mind to leave things better than I found them, or at least to always try to leave things better than I found them. And it's that compassion that makes me keep trying. And I screw up. Of course I screw up. Absolutely. But that doesn't mean I stop trying. So it's something I've been thinking about, and I might do an entire episode on the sort of philosophy of that and see if I can extend it a little bit further. But is there something there that I think is compelling and profound? Yeah, I really do. And I really believe the future is vegan. I'm saying that, and I'm going to keep talking about it. I'll probably lose maybe you even as a listener, but maybe not. Because when I say all of this, I think more and more people are finding that it feels better on a health level, but it sort of also feels better on a cosmic, metaphysical, spiritual level to do that, to do things this way. So I really want to encourage you to start thinking about and leading with compassion for yourself, for the people around you, friends, family, colleagues, and your local community, and then extrapolating that out into the earth, the entire planet. I hope you've enjoyed today's episode. I know I got a little cerebral there, but I still think it's something that bears thinking about. I really hope that you look to yourself and really follow your heart on this and really look to be compassionate. Compassion eases pain, whether it's yours or someone else's. I really believe that. I think, you know what? Let me say that again. Compassion eases pain, whether it's your pain or someone else's. And that is something that you can take with you and strive for and live every single day. And I think that's really important. I think it will definitely grow your business to be compassionate, but it'll also, I think it helps us all. I think it helps us all to know that someone else has our back, even if it's only emotionally, right? It's such a beautiful thing to know that someone has your back. I hope you've enjoyed today's episode. As I said, it got a little cerebral there. And I'm going to sign off now. And I want to tell you that if you have questions or ideas or thoughts about the things that I'm talking about, I'd love for you to get in touch and let me know what you're thinking. And tell me. I'm here, I'm listening, and I'm always striving to do better. Until next time, this is Isolde Trachtenberg for the Innovative Mindset Podcast, reminding you that to innovate, you must be bold, be creative, and always be kind. Thank you so much for joining me today. I really appreciate you being here. Please subscribe to the podcast if you're new, and it would mean the world to me if you told a friend about it. Today's episode was produced by Isolde Trachtenberg and is copyright 2021. As always, please remember this is for educational and entertainment purposes only. Past performance does not guarantee future results, although we can always hope. Until next time, remember to be bold, be creative, and most of all, be kind.